What up, y'all? I'm Jamie J, your go-to pre-rejuvenation beauty guru. Welcome to Snatchedskinbeauty, a place for spilling tea and honest discussions about all things related to skincare, medical aesthetics, and cosmetic procedures that keep our skin snatched from the inside out as we age. If you're considering an ultrasound skin tightening treatment, the two most popular devices in the US are either Sofwave or Ulthera. So how do you know which one to choose? Deciding the best option can actually be a little more challenging than you'd expect because most of the information that's available online, for whatever reason, it's all nothing but rose-colored glasses and unicorns, which obviously is not very helpful. And trust me, when researching for my full Sofwave review video, after sifting through dozens of Google search results, I still had way more questions than answers. But not to worry, since then your girl came through, and that's exactly what we're going to cover today, because no good Judy shall be left behind. In this video, we're going to highlight key factors to consider when choosing between Sofwave and Ulthera. And it's the second video in a three-part series comparing the devices. Remember, this is for informational purposes only to address practical aspects about the technology and should not be mistaken for medical or treatment advice. By the end of this video, first, safety and efficacy. Both Ulthera and Sofwave are FDA cleared to treat skin laxity and stimulate collagen production. Focused ultrasound technology is considered as a very safe, effective, and non-invasive treatment for patients with mild to moderate skin laxity and facial wrinkling. Severe adverse effects are very rare, but they may occur, if the correct treatment protocols and technique is not followed. There's been some recent stigma around Ulthera, which is briefly covered in video number 1. You can find the link in the description below if you want to learn more about that. But regardless of complications that have occurred, all therapy or Ulthera, same thing, still remains in good standing with the FDA in terms of safety. Both mechanisms of tightening are similar. They create a controlled injury that leads to tissue contraction and tightening with collagen stimulation. But the tissue layer is where the injury that's produced is different between the two. Targeted treatment depth is the main difference between Sofwave and Ulthera. And it's an important distinction because the time period during which post-treatment effects remains visible, it all depends on the tissue depth, where the initial intensity was applied. In other words, the deeper the layers are that get treated, the longer the effect will last. Sofwave treats superficial skin layers in the mid-dermis at 1.5 millimeters. This depth is the target layer for obtaining a short-term tissue effect and ensures no damage to the epidermis above or to the deeper structures below the dermis. Ulthera targets 3 predetermined depths ranging from 1.5 to 4.5 millimeters, as it treats both superficially and in the deep foundational tissue layers that make up the superficial musculo-aponeurotic system, or SMAS. I love that word. The SMAS is a dense mesh of collagen, elastin, fat cells, muscle fibers, and it connects superficial muscles to the dermis. That SMAS providing facial elasticity because she is the HBIC honey structure upon which all modern facelifts are based. She got all that good, It should be emphasized that Ulthera's ability to target a similar tissue depth, that Ulthera is considered to be the non-surgical alternative to a facelift for people who simply aren't ready for surgery or are just beginning to, notice visible aging. So none of this is to say that either one device is more superior than the other. I think they both serve their own intended purpose that will achieve different outcomes for different people with different needs that otherwise would not have been achievable. Sofwave places the energy very reliably in the dermis, which is great for treating more superficial lines, lip lines, neck lines, cheek lines, and Ulthera is more effective in those deeper layers. The deeper penetration, however, it does come with more risk of structural fat destruction, which is a bummer. The control of the extent of the effects is achieved by controlling the heating profile, meaning temperature is just as important as depth. 55 degrees Celsius or higher is the sweet spot for collagen denaturation, which may cause contracting tissue that's responsible for the immediate shrinkage and visible tightening effect. Any temperature below that will cause at most an inflammatory effect, but it won't be heated enough to induce any long-term effects. Heating tissues to 65 degrees Celsius or higher will thermally damage tissue to a much higher extent and will result in more formation of newer collagen that may impact the long-term results. Which brings us to the next factor of discomfort. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that 150 degrees Fahrenheit is fucking hot. And applying this level of heat to melt skin tissue, regardless of depth, is fucking painful. So it's a good idea to use a topical anesthetic to be as comfortable as possible for the entire duration of your treatment, as both Sofwave and Ulthera can achieve these temperatures. Now, not kink shaming or anything. I mean, if pain is your thing, shoot, bear it and grin, honey. Keeping in mind that Ulthera uses higher energy, and so those levels can result in significantly more discomfort. And some practices will offer Pronox to help you relax, so be sure to inquire about that at the time of your appointment if you find it necessary. Now, this segues us into the next factor, which is treatment time. The length of your treatment with either device will depend on the area that's being treated. Face and neck procedure with Ulthera typically takes about 60 to 90 minutes. And then Sofwave's flexible ultrasound applicator is able to cover a larger surface area in a single pass, providing an advantage with regard to a shorter treatment time. It's only 30 to 45 minutes. You'll want to keep in mind though, because again, this is about, setting proper expectations and practical aspects of not just the treatment, but the entirety of the appointment and the experience. Average treatment times listed on both companies' websites do not factor in any additional prep time that would be required for cleansing the skin and numbing the skin before the actual treatment time. And that process could add at least another 45 minutes to an hour. So realistically, you're looking at least 2 hours for the entire appointment. All right, let's get into downtime. In my Sofwave review video, you may have heard my little tangent near the end about the need for setting proper post-treatment expectations. Little to no downtime is literally the most played out phrase. Now, it's just used more as a selling point than a protocol. Actually, let me just set the context here. Let's back up.
Bag up, Terry. Put in reverse, Terry.
So when we say downtime, we're referring to the immediate period that is post-treatment begins when you walk out of the practitioner's office. When you leave the appointment, and it ends when you can safely resume all normal activities. Because traditionally, the gold standard in medical aesthetics and cosmetic procedures for skin tightening and treating wrinkles relied on much more aggressive and invasive therapies like ablative lasers and deep chemical peels to literally vaporize an upper layer of the dermis and completely remove the outer layers of the skin, leaving you exposed wounds that are susceptible to risks associated with Freddy Krueger melty face. So yes, the downtime is much more minimal in comparison. Both devices are targeting tissue layers that are beneath the skin. So the epidermis, or the external layer of skin, is left without any damage, which is why there is little to no downtime. However, just because you can't see the damage doesn't mean it's not there. So you should probably take it easy for a minimum of 24 hours post-treatment and let the body do its thing, girl. That way, your results will speak for themselves. Both have better results with multiple treatments, and although both state, that they're one and done, to see results and to see better outcomes, you'll need to be seen with multiple treatments. Both cost. Now, the cost will vary depending on the treatment area. Of course, the location of your provider's practice, individual credentials, and level of experience, that's all going to factor into the cost. From what I gather, Ulthera is more expensive for the physician to use, which, of course, all those lovely costs, honey, get passed down to the patient. These are very ballpark averages, guesstimates rather. The average cost per area is about $1,200 for Sofwave and $1,500 for Ulthera. And so that would make, let's say, the full face anywhere from $2,100 and about $4,500 for. I think it's safe to say that Sofwave is probably priced a little too big for its britches, but that's just my humble opinion. But either way you slice it, y'all, treatment of the full face, it's going to set you back at least a mortgage payment. So this is why I cannot stress enough the importance of protecting your investment and optimizing your results. Probably a good stopping point. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I know this was a lot of info to cover and crammed to a short. If you have ever had Ulthera or Sofwave, please, I'd be so curious to know if all this rang true to your experience and what was the deciding factor that helped you choose between the two. Y'all have to let me know if you haven't subscribed yet and you found this information helpful. You won't want to miss part 3. Where we're going to be discussing the optimal treatment sequential interaction between ultrasound technology when it's being performed in the same area on the face or neck where existing aesthetic threads or recent dermal filler has been placed. All right, so thank you guys so much, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.